Hello! Today I'm going to talk about the costs of a swimmteich. For those of you who don't know what a swimmteich is, I would like to explain once again. A swimmteich is a natural swimming pool that functions without using technical units, without chemical substances and without plants. That's the very special thing.
Your channel for swimteichs. Nature in your garden and water that's alive. Enjoy watching.
We have built our swimmteich 8 years ago, is it, Christian? 8
Yes.
years? 8 years ago. And we're still very happy with it. And we have people all over the world who watch our channel and our videos, and we get many questions about the costs. Here in Europe, swim ponds and also swim teichs are quite common, quite known, but I am aware of the fact that all over the world, all over the rest of the world, this is a quite new topic. Of course, you cannot really tell how much a swimteich will be in the US or in India or in Costa Rica, especially with our situation in the world, that we have all this inflation. So you cannot really tell exactly how much a swimteich would be. But what I can tell you is the pieces that you need to put together, the pieces of costs that you need to put together to get a price idea. Before we get started on the costs, I want to show you our swimmteich today. It's a very special situation that we have more or less every year. This year it's quite early. The summer has come very early to Austria. We have really summer weather at the moment, and at the same time we have all the pollen of the surrounding trees and grass and flowers just floating in the wind, and of course also landing in our swimmteich. Pollen is of course nutrients, and that makes the algae at the moment bloom. We are not concerned, we are not worried. We know that it's maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe 3, depends on the amount that you have in your swimmteich, in your water. But after that, after a few days or weeks, the water will clear up again. So don't be worried. And we are not shy to show you how it can look at some times of the year. Of course, pollen you cannot really get out of the water with a leaves net. So I show you. So this is a normal one for leaves. And if you use this, you see all is just dripping down again into the water. First I take it out. Now look underneath. It looks like everything is gone. And now just wait. Most of it drips out again. So that's not really the best thing. You see, there's not much that has stayed in that net. So what I have is a different one for very fine stuff. And now I go with this and I take some of it out. So this is the only thing you can do about pollen in your water. Of course, there's also the possibility to install a skimmer. And many people do that already. We don't, because we don't want to use power all year long. And the disadvantage of a skimmer is, of course, also with pollen like this, you have to clean and change the skimmer nearly every 2 hours. So some people prefer to clean the skimmer. I prefer to take out the pollen like this. It's just a matter of taste. Yeah. And you see, in this one, we have all the pollen caught in the corners. So this is the only solution I have. The other one is wait, be patient, and it will be gone by itself. So now let's talk about the costs. The first big piece that you have when we talk about costs is, of course, the digging, the excavation. So what we recommend is, you don't go and say, please, can you tell me if I want to make a swim pond, because they won't understand schwimmteich. If you tell somebody, I want to make a swim pond, what will that cost? He will probably give you a big price. We recommend to go to an excavation company and ask them for the hourly price. And you can more or less count on that you will be finished if you have a schwimmteich like this, like ours, and it's not a very challenging situation like very difficult soil or hill situation, hill location. If you don't have all this, it's not more than 8 hours that you have to calculate to dig a schwimmteich like this. But be a little bit careful with selecting your operator, because he should know how to use his machine. So that's the first thing. You go, you ask how much it would be to get the machine plus the operator per hour, and then you just, if it's difficult, it will be 2 days. But if it's a normal, easy, average situation, it's done in 1 day. In Europe, this price is about 80 euros an hour. Of course, you don't have euros, maybe, but the dollar and the euro is near. You have to just see how much that would be in your country. Don't forget, the soil that you excavate must go somewhere. If you're lucky, you have in your garden some place that you can, that you can flatten, or that you can just cover with that excavated soil. If not, or maybe you find somebody who needs it. If not, then you must ask a company to take it away. And this is normally quite expensive, at least in Austria. You need a truck that takes it away, and you need a place to put it. What is next? You have the hole, and you need a liner. But before, you have to think of other things, but they are not that costly. That's why we are not talking about them now, but later. So the next big thing is the liner. And the liner, I have realized, is really the trickiest part about the whole project, because it is obviously not common outside of Europe to use a colored liner. And that's probably why it is more expensive overseas, and it is even more expensive and difficult to find professional thermal welders to weld the liner. This is what you really have to research. Find out if you find a PVC liner or a TPO liner nearby or in the internet, but especially find professionals who can and know how to weld those liners. I can give you a hint. You know these flat roofs, they're also covered with liners, and normally people who know how to weld a flat roof liner, they also know how to weld a swimming pool or a swim pond or a schwimmteich. In Austria, at the moment, the prices for the liner plus welding, they differ between about 40 euros per square meter to 70 euros per square meter. So you see there's a wide range. The square meter means that is the liner plus the work. But that's the real tricky thing, to find somebody who can weld the liner for you. As I told you in another video, in Costa Rica they helped themselves by using truck canvas, and they knew themselves how to weld that. So if you have this advantage, good. But if not, and if it's I mean, I know that it can be really expensive, what I heard, you always have the choice to take an EPDM liner. That's this rubber liner, and you can order it in one piece, and you just need a lot of people to roll it out, but that's normally easy to find. And you have the advantage that you don't need any professionals for that. You just need to measure and just order it. The disadvantage, of course, is that it's only coming in the color black. So that's, of course, not the same as having a blue or a green water. But I know a few projects and it works well. You should, of course, if you use that, you have to be careful that the folds are not too bad. But in the beginning, I was worried because of these folds that you automatically get. Because in those folds, the detritus and all the stuff can just stick in the folds. But we have seen projects and it works well because of the water pressure. There's no room for anything to get between the folds. So it's fine with an EPDM liner, as long as you are happy with the watercolor. It's a little bit darker, that's it. Of course, you also need a glue. How much square meters you need? I just give you an example. For ours, we needed
around 220
square meters of liner. So, but you cannot compare the price because that was 8 years ago. So it's not even worth telling you, because it's much more expensive now. So that's the liner. Then we come to the regeneration zone, and there you have two possibilities. You either try to find pond bags that meet all the things that they have to meet, be UV resistant, and the water should get through, so it's not sandbags or something like that. You always have to make sure that the water can flow through the pond bags, and that's the next thing that's really difficult to get. I can offer the solution that you find yourself somebody who sews them for you, and we can give you the measures, and that would be one possibility, but probably quite expensive. We hope that in the future we find a way to offer them overseas as well, the pond bags. The other possibility that you have also seen in our videos is those boxes with either a wooden frame or also an iron frame. That's also possible. And with those iron grits so that the water can float through. For this, you must be a little bit talented in working those things, but that's a possibility that can be realized all over the world. The thing is, please don't do it if you have sandy soil, very stony soil, because if you want to use those gravel boxes, you need to have a flat bottom, and you need you just need very exact and very accurate digging, and that's not possible with every soil. So be careful with that possibility. For the pond bags, depending on the size of your schwimmteich, in Austria you need to calculate about, depending on the size, I said, between 500 and 1,000 euros, I would say, for a schwimmteich like ours. Okay, so that's the bags, and then we come to all the smaller things like the edges. No, you need to plan if you want to use pond edge band or if you want to use bricks. And you have to do that yourself, make the research, how long it is, then count how many stones, how many bricks, or how many meters of these pond edge band you need. And you have to calculate yourself. But that's also something you have to remember. Then you have all the gravel. I would say for a schwimmteich like ours, we needed about 15
tons.
15 tons of gravel is here inside, not counting the surrounding, right? Yeah. So make a research for the gravel, and then you one of the last things are the stepping stones that also make a part. That also is so difficult to say how much such a stone is here or in the US or in Costa Rica. It's just so different that we cannot make an example. But that is also something to calculate. And then you have small pieces. It's like, I don't know, like screws. No, we don't need screws. Schrauben?
No.
No. Yeah, you need them for the pond edge band. You need some screws. So these are small items that don't cost much, but they are also there. And of course, if you want to install a skimmer, you have to calculate that as well. Yeah, but that is what we would recommend if you want to know about the costs. You have these parts that you have to calculate. It's exactly those parts that you also have to plan for. What do I want? It's a do-it-yourself project, and it of course depends a lot also on the fact how much can you do yourself. How many helpers do you have? So this is of course something that makes your project cheaper or more expensive. But just to give you an overview, how much it could be here in Austria. So not just the parts, but the whole thing is, we're not talking about this one 8 years ago, but we of course see a lot of projects, and we know of schwimmteichs that have been built a little bit smaller maybe as this size, but still quite big, that cost about 13 to 15,000 euros. But I would say the average, you have to count the average for average size, is about 20,000 euros at the moment here in Austria. But don't forget, that's also a big advantage of this kind of natural pool, is that you don't have any extra costs in the future. You don't, that's maybe not quite right, because one thing you also have to think of, also when planning, you need a certain equipment to maintain it. You buy that once and you hopefully have it for a long time. That's a pump, that's nets, that's something like that, just to clean it and to maintain it once a year. We have other videos that show you how to do it. In Austria, you have to calculate about 2,000 euros for that, starting for this package of equipment that you need. But then, for the future, there's nothing you have to calculate. You don't need more water, you don't have to add anything, you don't have to have a pump run all day long. You don't need all these things. Of course, you can install a skimmer, but you don't have to. That's what I mean. The costs, the following costs of a project like a schwimmteich are very, very, very low, let's say near zero. And I think that's about it. This video is especially for Maya in the ocean, who has asked me about 2 weeks ago exactly this question, and I started to write an answer, and it took me so much time, and then I thought it's maybe, or probably very much of interest for many people who watch our videos. So thank you for that question, Maya, and I hope you could learn something from this video. If so, please give us a thumb up and keep watching us. Thanks. Bye.